Welcome back to Egan Brooks' Psychology channel. Today we're going to do 5 minutes of the simple nuts and bolts of the morning routine. Now the first thing is why? What's the importance of having a morning routine? Now for me, the biggest game changer was the fact that it put me in a better mood. It allowed me to start making better choices for the day because of this thing called the compound effect. Let's contrast two mornings. One morning where the alarm goes off and you turn it up, you hit the snooze, you stay in bed scrolling for another 30 minutes, you're looking at all these people having productive mornings. Or the other morning where you get up out of bed straight away, you get your clothes on, you go for a 20-minute walk, you come back, you've journaled a page, you've set your intentions for the day. 30 minutes, the same amount of time went by, but a totally different series of choices were made. Now that's a great illustration of the compound effect, because what is going to happen for the rest of the day from those two different mornings is a series of better choices when the person got out of bed and started making better choices. Now this starts to filter out throughout the whole day. Every decision you make throughout the day is influenced by a few things. One is your awareness. Are you aware of the choices you're making and the effect that it is having on you and the outcomes in your life? When you start making better choices and you start putting the intention to make choices, these things come into your awareness a lot more. Put you in a better mood. You start to believe it is possible. You start to create a new identity, someone who cares about their time and where they're putting it and the outcomes in their life. So it has this real positive feedback loop, and that's a massive shift that I've seen in my life when I've started to focus on the morning routine. But let's get into the how, because I think a lot of us know that starting our day well is really important. But how? What's the best way to be consistent, to stop making excuses? So I'm going to give you 3 practical tips that are going to set you up for a strong morning routine. The first one is the night before. Now we're all focused on what we have to do when we wake up, but honestly, the best way is to prepare the night before. If you want to wake up early, setting an alarm to go to bed is more important than setting the early alarm, because not only does it create consistency, but it enables you to stop making excuses. I'm too tired now, I need to sleep in the next day. That is what I did for so long. But instead I had to focus on going to bed early, and suddenly I was able to get my sleep. Clothes, making your food for work, whatever time constraints you have, can you invest some time in the night before to put that time back into the morning? Because that is going to set you up for a really positive day. Number 2 is time leverage. Now most of us are time poor, so the question becomes, how can we get more out of doing less? And how can we find morning activities that don't require much time but create a greater yield of outcomes? So for me, a morning ice bath, a page of journaling, sometimes some breath work, that can be less than 15 minutes, but it creates not only a page of setting intentions, reminding myself where I'm going with my life, but I get challenged with an ice bath and I have to push through that. I do some breath work, I start getting grounded. So within 15 minutes, I've already achieved a lot and I've already built this belief and momentum for the day. And it's only taken 15 minutes and I haven't had to go to the gym for an hour and a half and make this exquisite long breakfast. Now, while these things can be powerful, it's like, how can we keep being consistent and stop giving up? One of the most important things is to use our time in the best way possible. The third thing to note is align to values. Now the things that are going to bring you fulfillment is when you put time into things that matter to you. As much as doing exercise and doing all these socially alluring tasks are important because they help with health, you need to be clear on why you're doing things in the first place. So if you have a little amount of time throughout the middle of the day because you're going to work, but you want to start your own business, for example, are you putting any time into it in the morning? Or are you trying to do the things that other people are telling you? Because when your morning routine is stacked up with things that are really important to you, it'll have a totally different effect on the way you feel, because it's giving you belief that your life is taking shape. It's creating awareness that you're putting things into play that are going to have a positive long-term effect. Eventually you'll get to where you want to go if you're putting time into it. But if you're just doing things that don't matter to you and you're spending 2 hours of doing this task that someone said, or we do these things called positive procrastination. We might have a really positive morning routine. We're not putting the time into things that actually matter to us. So if you start with the night before, you start thinking, what do I need to do to save time the next day? Time leverage. What can bring me positive outcomes from the least amount of effort so I can be consistent and stop making excuses and build momentum for my day? And the third thing, is the task I'm doing actually aligned to where I want to go? Is it something for me, or is it something someone has told me to do and I think I have to do it? You do all these things and you start being aware of the effect that it has on you, and start reflecting on how it makes you feel and the days and how much they are changed by mastering the morning routine. It'll start being ingrained and you'll start to build that identity, and suddenly you won't have to think about it so hard. It'll just be something that you do because it's who you are. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.